The world of gaming has been graced with numerous iconic devices, but few have garnered as much reverence and nostalgia as the Nintendo Game Boy. A small, gray, rectangular device with a modest screen and an even more humble color palette, the Game Boy might seem primitive to the uninitiated. Yet, for those who grew up in its era, or for enthusiasts who appreciate the history of gaming, the Game Boy stands tall as a monumental achievement. In this video, we'll delve deep into this pocket-sized wonder, exploring its history, technical feats, the expansive library, and the indelible mark it left on our culture. Before we begin, if you're new here, make sure you hit that like button if you enjoy this video, and subscribe if you want to see more videos on retro gaming and tech from the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. Liking and subscribing is a free and easy way to support what we do here, and it helps other people who might be interested find this video. Thanks so much, and we hope you enjoy the rest of the video. In the late 1980s, while the gaming world was still riding the waves created by home consoles, Nintendo dared to dream differently. The vision was clear: create a portable gaming device that could provide endless entertainment on the go. Enter Gunpei Yokoi, the genius behind many of Nintendo's innovations, who, after witnessing a bored commuter playing with an LCD calculator, was inspired to develop a handheld gaming system. The Nintendo Game Boy was introduced to the Japanese market in April 1989, and it didn't take long for it to become a massive success. Priced reasonably and bundled with the addictive puzzle game Tetris, it quickly found its way into the pockets and hearts of gamers around the world. Later that year, the Game Boy was introduced to North America, followed by Europe in 1990. The Game Boy's success wasn't just due to its innovative design or affordability. It was the result of Nintendo's understanding of the market's needs. Long battery life, a robust build to withstand the rigors of portable gaming, and a library of games that catered to both casual and hardcore gamers. While the concept of handheld gaming wasn't new, with devices like the Milton Bradley's Microvision predating the Game Boy, Nintendo's approach was revolutionary. They understood that success in the portable gaming market meant more than just replicating the console experience on a smaller screen. It was about understanding the nuances of on-the-go gaming and delivering an experience that was both captivating and convenient. Yokoi's design philosophy, known as lateral thinking with withered technology, played a significant role in the Game Boy's creation. Rather than pushing for the latest technological advances, Yokoi believed in using well-established technology in innovative ways. This philosophy not only made the Game Boy affordable, but also ensured its reliability. For instance, instead of opting for a color screen which would have consumed more power, the Game Boy featured a monochromatic display, ensuring a battery life that was leaps and bounds ahead of its competition. Nintendo's partnership with Tetris is another pivotal point in the Game Boy's history. They took a gamble by packaging the Game Boy with Tetris instead of a Mario game, which had been their flagship series. This decision was rooted in a strategic understanding that while Mario appealed largely to a younger demographic, Tetris had universal appeal. Adults and kids alike were soon glued to their Game Boys, rotating, shifting, and dropping blocks, aiming for that satisfying four-line clear known as a Tetris. The Game Boy also faced competition. Rivals such as the Atari Lynx and Sega Game Gear entered the market boasting color screens and more powerful hardware. However, they also suffered from shorter battery lives and higher price points. The Game Boy, with its monochrome screen and efficient energy consumption, demonstrated that it wasn't always the most technologically advanced device that won, but the one that understood its audience's needs the best. The history of the Game Boy isn't just about the device itself, but also about the community and culture it fostered. The introduction of the Game Link cable, allowing two Game Boys to be connected for multiplayer gameplay, was a testament to the social experience Nintendo envisioned for its users. Games like Pokemon Red and Blue leveraged this feature, creating a worldwide phenomenon where players traded and battled their virtual creatures, forging connections that transcended the digital realm. The Nintendo Game Boy at first glance might seem like a simplistic piece of hardware, especially when compared to today's high-tech devices. However, the genius of the Game Boy was not in its raw power, but in its efficient use of technology and innovative design decisions that optimized gameplay for a handheld format. Display. The Game Boy featured a 2.6-inch dot matrix screen with a resolution of 160 by 144 pixels. It used a monochrome palette of 4 shades of gray-green, a choice that greatly contributed to its impressive battery life. Though lacking in color, the display was crisp, making games easy to view and play. Processor and memory. Powered by a custom 8-bit Sharp LR35902 CPU running at 4.19 MHz, the Game Boy was by no means a powerhouse. It came with 8 kilobytes of internal RAM and 8 kilobytes of video RAM. These specifications, while modest, were perfectly suited for the portable games of the time. Power. One of the Game Boy's most celebrated features was its battery life. With 4 AA batteries, players could game for up to 15 to 30 hours. This longevity was a game changer, allowing for extended play sessions on long trips without the constant need for fresh batteries. Sound. The Game Boy was equipped with a 4-channel sound system, offering a surprising depth of audio for its size. Composers became adept at using these limited channels to produce memorable and catchy chiptunes. Game Link Cable. An innovation that set the stage for social gaming. This accessory allowed 2 Game Boys to connect, paving the way for multiplayer experiences and game sharing long before online gaming became ubiquitous. Physical design. Compact, sturdy, and designed for rugged use, the Game Boy's design was both iconic and practical. Its button layout with the D-pad, A, B, Start, and Select buttons became a standard that influenced handheld gaming devices for generations. Cartridge system. Using cartridges for its games meant players had access to a vast library without being restricted by the device's internal memory. The cartridges themselves were durable and were an integral part of the Game Boy's identity. Throughout its life cycle, the Game Boy saw various iterations and updates, such as the Game Boy Pocket and the Game Boy Color, each refining the design and expanding its capabilities. Yet through these evolutions, the core principles of efficient design, robustness, and user-friendliness remain consistent. The true strength of any gaming system lies not just in its hardware, but in the experiences it offers through its games. The Game Boy was no exception, boasting a vast library that catered to both casual gamers and hardcore enthusiasts. The Game Boy offered titles that have since become legendary in the annals of gaming history. Tetris. No discussion of the Game Boy's library would be complete without mentioning Tetris. This addictive puzzle game, with its falling blocks and iconic music, was the Game Boy's killer app. Its simplicity made it accessible to gamers of all ages, and its depth ensured it remained challenging no matter how many times you played. Pokémon Red and Blue, Green in Japan. These titles transformed the Game Boy from a popular handheld device into a global phenomenon. Introducing players to the world of Pokémon, these games encouraged exploration, collection, and competition. The innovative trading feature, leveraging the Game Link Cable, turned Pokémon into a social experience as players sought to catch them all. The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. An installment of the revered Legend of Zelda series, this game brought intricate puzzles, a captivating story, and action-packed gameplay to the Game Boy's small screen. It's often lauded as one of the best handheld games of all time. Super Mario Land series. Mario, Nintendo's iconic mascot, made his mark on the Game Boy with a series of platforming adventures that retained the charm and challenge of their console counterparts. These titles demonstrated that the Game Boy could handle the flagship franchises with aplomb. Mega Man 5. The Blue Bomber's adventures on the Game Boy were unique entries in the series, with Mega Man 5 being a standout. Featuring exclusive robot masters and a new gameplay mechanic with the Mega Arm, it showcased how developers could innovate within established franchises on the handheld. Dr. Mario. This puzzle game, while sharing some similarities with Tetris, introduced an entirely different mechanic centered around eliminating viruses with color-matching pills. It was both challenging and infectious in its appeal. Metroid 2: Return of Samus. A sequel to the NES classic, this title took players to the alien world of SR-388, expanding on the series' exploration-focused gameplay. It laid the groundwork for future Metroid titles and introduced key elements to the series' lore. Beyond these titles, the Game Boy was home to a plethora of genres, from racing games like F1 Race to RPGs such as Final Fantasy Legend. Many third-party developers, seeing the success of the Game Boy, were keen to release their titles on the platform, further enriching its library. The Game Boy's games were more than just time killers. They were fully fledged adventures, challenges, and stories that captivated players for hours on end. Whether you were delving into dungeons, racing against the clock, or battling rival trainers, the Game Boy ensured that a world of fun was always at your fingertips. In many ways, the Game Boy did more than just provide a portable gaming experience. It transformed cultural norms and paved the way for a new era of entertainment. Its success wasn't just confined to sales numbers or technical achievements. Its influence permeated into popular culture, setting new standards and establishing enduring legacies. The social gamer. Before smartphones made gaming accessible to everyone, everywhere, the Game Boy was pioneering the concept of gaming on the go. It wasn't uncommon to see people of all ages, from kids on school buses to adults on subways, engrossed in their Game Boys. Merchandise and spin-offs. The global Pokemon craze, ignited by the Game Boy titles, led to an avalanche of merchandise, TV shows, movies, and even a trading card game. The cultural footprint in Pokemon, which began on the Game Boy, remains significant to this day. Innovation benchmark. Future handheld devices, whether from Nintendo like the DS and Switch or from competitors, had the Game Boy as a benchmark. Its emphasis on battery life, durable design, and rich game library set standards that future devices would aim to emulate or surpass. Nostalgia and retrospective value. The Game Boy, for many, wasn't just a device. It was a cherished part of their childhood or youth. This nostalgia has led to a flourishing market for retro gaming, with original Game Boys and their games still in demand. The chiptunes from Game Boy titles have found new life in music genres like chipwave and chiptune, and the aesthetic of Game Boy games inspires indie developers to this day. The Game Boy's cultural legacy is profound. Beyond the pixels, beeps, and boops, it fostered connections, provided solace, sparked creativity, and brought joy to millions. Its influence, though rooted in the past, continues to ripple through the present, serving as a testament to the timelessness of well-crafted entertainment. The Nintendo Game Boy, with its modest gray-green screen and humble specs, emerged as an unlikely hero in the vast realm of video gaming. Yet, it's often the simplest things that leave the most indelible marks. More than a device, the Game Boy represented an era, a shift in how we perceived gaming, and a testament to how innovation, when combined with a keen understanding of users' desires, can result in something truly extraordinary. It's remarkable to consider the Game Boy's journey, from its conception by Gunpei Yokoi, inspired by a bored commuter, to its ascent as a global phenomenon. But beyond the numbers sold or games produced, the Game Boy's true legacy lies in the moments it created. Be it the thrill of capturing a rare Pokemon, the frustration of narrowly missing a high score in Tetris, or the joy of sharing an adventure with a friend. In today's world of high-definition graphics, virtual realities, and complex multiplayer universes, there's still something undeniably alluring about the Game Boy. Perhaps it's nostalgia, or perhaps it's a reminder that at the heart of every technological marvel lies a simple yet powerful desire: to be entertained, to connect, and to experience joy. The Nintendo Game Boy, in its charming simplicity, achieved all of this and more. It stands not just as a relic of a bygone era, but as a beacon of what is possible when creativity, technology, and understanding come together. In a world ever enthralled by the next big thing, the Game Boy reminds us that sometimes greatness comes in the most unassuming packages.